Okay, I'm going to go over what we did in class today. I'm going to go over it kind of quickly. You can always stop the video if you need to or speed it up if I'm going too slow. We are going over graphing and analyzing scientific data. We talked about 3 different types of graphs: pie charts, bar charts, and line graphs. We're going to focus on the last 2, bar graphs and line graphs. We're going to do one of each now. Remember, we always have to have a title on our graph. Independent variables are the variable that the scientist is changing. That always goes on the x-axis. The horizontal axis is the x-axis. That's for the independent variable. And the vertical axis, the y-axis, is for the dependent variable. And then we're going to focus on scales as we build each graph, and we'll go over that shortly. So here's our first data set. Over a period of 6 months, we counted the deer that were in a particular location. And there we go. These are the numbers that we counted. So we need to put our 6 data points onto this graph. First things first, we need to identify the independent variable. And the independent variable is the thing that we're changing as a scientist, and we are changing what month we are looking at, whether we're going out and counting. So what we're changing is the month, our independent variable, and what we're measuring is we're actually counting the deer. So the number of deer is our dependent variable. And so let's go ahead, and independent variable goes on the x-axis, dependent variable on the y-axis. Now, we have 20 by 20 grid. We have 6 data points that need to go on this horizontal axis. We're going to, if we do a little bit of math, we're going to figure out that by spacing them 3 spaces apart, we're going to be able to fit our 6 data points onto the graph nice and even. And we want to try and fill up the graph as best we can every time we create a graph. And we also want to make sure that we don't go way off of the graph. So we might make sure we have enough numbers to handle all of our data in the data table. So in this case, we have 6 data points, and we're going to space them 3 squares apart. So September, we got 1, 2, 3, September, 1, 2, 3, October, 2, 3, November, December, January, and 1, 2, 3, February. Okay, and now we're going to count, we're going to take a look at what's our maximum number that we need to put on our chart. And in this case, 38 is our max. So we know that we have 20 squares here. So in order to fit 38 in our chart, if we just tried to do it with each of these as one, 38 would be way up here somewhere. So instead, we're going to make each square worth 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And we could keep going like that, but I think I'm going to space them out a little bit. 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. And if you feel like you'd like to have all the numbers on there, you can go ahead and write them in there. That makes it easier for you. So now we're just going to plot our data. So September, there were 38. So we come over here to September, and we go up to find 38. There's 10, 20, 30, 2, 4, 6, 8. 38 is right here. We're going to draw a line. And I'm going to use the ruler to make a nice straight line. And another ruler there. And then we're going to fill in our bar. We're going to shade it in. And that is our first data point. October, we're going to go 32. So find your October line. 10, 20, 30, 2. And we'll do the same thing. Draw some nice straight lines. And shade that in. So there's our first 2 bars. November, 10, 20, 2, 4, 6. Right there. I think that's close enough. I can make my lines without a ruler now. And December is 20, so 10, 20. Next comes January, and there's 15 that happened in January. So let's see, we got 10, we counted 15 in January, 10, 12, 14, 16. 15 is in between there. So we're going to draw a line halfway in between. And there we go. And now we've got January. Finally, February has 12, so there's 10, 12. And there is our bar graph for this data. The only thing we need now is a title. Remember, all graphs must have a title. And our title needs to be descriptive. And so we are going to go count of deer over 6 months. So during a 6-month period, this was the number of deer that we counted. So now we're going to move on to the back here, and there's also a place for you to enter your title to respond to the question. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Count of deer over 6 months. Next, we're moving on to our next graph. Now this one is going to be a line graph. So pay attention, read the question carefully, make sure you draw the right type of graph. We're lucky, again, we have 6 data points. So we're going to divide it up 3 at a time. And we're going to find our independent variable. So again, it's what we change, and we are changing the day that we're counting our bacteria. So the number of days is our independent variable, and what we're counting is the number of bacteria. So that's our dependent variable. So number of days goes on the x-axis, number of bacteria on the y-axis. So every 3 squares, we're going to put a number. So this is day 1, 1, 2, 3, day 2, 3, day 3, 1, 2, 3, day 2, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 6. And now we look at our numbers here, and our maximum number this time is 200. So we have 20 spaces here. So how are we going to make that fit? We're going to make each space worth 10. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then I'm going to go in chunks again. So 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. 10, 20, 30, 40, 150, and 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. So now we can plot our points. So we are drawing a line graph this time. So we're going to put points on the graph, and then we're going to connect those points. So the first data point is 4, and each of our blocks is 10. So we're going to go about halfway. 4 is almost half of 10. So right about here, we're going to draw our dot on our graph. And then after 2 days, we've got 16 bacteria. So we're going to go to our number 2. There's 10, there's 20, 16. Again, about halfway in between. We're going to draw a point right there. On day 3, we've got 40 bacteria. So we're going to go 10, 20, 30, 40 bacteria. Or you can do it by this way, go up and then over to find 40, find where they meet, and you put your point. On day 4, we've got 80 bacteria, so there we go, up, 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 and then there's 100, so that must be 90, and that must be 80. 80's right there. Next, on day 5, we've got 100 bacteria, so that'll be a little bit easier. And then day 6 is easier still. It's right on 200. So we're right here. And those are our points. And now we're going to go ahead and connect those. So we start from the origin, 0, 0. And we're going to draw a line connecting to the first day to the second day, second to third, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and finally day 5 to day 6. And now we have our line graph. Again, we need to give it a nice descriptive title. And so now we're going to do count of bacteria over 6 days. And again, we need to put that down here also. So I'm going to leave the last two for you to do. Pay attention to what the instructions are. This first one's a bar graph. We've got 6 data points again. Remember, you're going to spread those data points out 3 squares at a time. I know this one says 0. We're actually going to plot that over here. Usually we consider that 0, but this is a little different because it's telling us how many hours they studied. And so we're going to go ahead and put 1, 2, 3, put the 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6, 8, and 10. And this time our max is 100. So we're going to do these. We have 20 squares. 100 divided by 20 gives us 5. So each square is worth 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, and then up here will be 100. And then you can plot your data accordingly. Make sure you put in the independent variable, dependent variable, and an appropriate title. And then finally, our last one, this time our 0 is going to be here, and this one is a line graph. Make sure you pay attention what kind of, up here, a line graph. Make sure you use the correct type of graph. And this time for our scale, we're going to start here at 0, 0. We're going to, then after we do that, we've got 6 points left, so we can spread them out by 3s again. And we're going to go, this will be the temperature. This is our independent variable, the temperature. So it's 20, count 3, 1, 2, 3, it's 30, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3 gives us 70. And now our range here is up to 20, and we have 20 squares, so each of these will be 1 each. And I will let you complete that. If you have any questions, go ahead and message me.